Have you ever wondered what it feels like when the greatest player of a generation stands just one step away from the final chapter of his legendary story? Imagine millions of fans holding their breath, stadium lights shining brighter than ever, and one man walking slowly through the tunnel with the hopes of an entire nation resting on his shoulders. This wasn't just another tournament. This wasn't just another season. This was Cristiano Ronaldo's final march toward the FIFA World Cup 2026, the tournament that could define his legacy forever. Some believed he was too old. Others said football had already moved on. But legends don't ask for permission to dream. They create moments the world never forgets. The story begins long before the opening whistle. Every sunrise became another opportunity for Ronaldo to prove that age was only a number. While younger stars dominated headlines with speed and flashy skills, Ronaldo quietly trained harder than anyone imagined. His morning started before the city woke up. Hours in the gym, endless shooting drills, sprint sessions, recovery routines, and sacrifices that most people would never understand. Every drop of sweat carried one message: the dream wasn't over. People often remember trophies, goals, and celebrations, but they rarely see the lonely nights filled with pain. Ronaldo's body had been through countless battles. Every scar told a story. Every injury reminded him that time waits for no one. Yet every morning he chose to fight again. Not because he needed to prove himself to critics, but because his love for football burned stronger than ever. As the World Cup qualifiers approached, the pressure grew heavier. Portugal looked toward their captain once again. Fans wondered whether the veteran superstar could still deliver when everything was on the line. Social media exploded with debates. Some predicted a magical farewell. Others believed this would finally be the end of an unforgettable era. Ronaldo remained silent. He didn't answer with interviews. He answered with performances. Every goal reminded the world why he had become one of football's greatest icons. Every celebration carried the same fire that fans first witnessed nearly 3 decades earlier. Young teammates watched him with admiration. They realized they weren't simply sharing a dressing room with a footballer. They were learning from a living legend. The journey toward 2026 wasn't only about Ronaldo. It was about inspiring a new generation of Portuguese stars who had grown up watching him score impossible goals on television. Players who once wore Ronaldo's jersey as children were now standing beside him on the biggest stage. The responsibility was enormous. Portugal entered every match knowing opponents wanted one thing more than victory. They wanted to be remembered as the team that defeated Cristiano Ronaldo in his final World Cup journey. Every stadium became hostile. Every defender fought harder. Every tackle became more aggressive. But pressure had always been Ronaldo's closest companion. Instead of breaking him, it made him stronger. As the tournament drew closer, emotional moments began appearing everywhere. Fans gathered outside training grounds just to catch one glimpse of their hero. Children held handmade signs saying, "One last dance, Cristiano." Families traveled across continents hoping to witness history. Older supporters remembered watching Ronaldo's World Cup debut decades ago. Now they stood with tears in their eyes, knowing this could be goodbye. Even rival fans couldn't ignore the emotion. Because football wasn't simply losing a player. It was preparing to say farewell to an era. The opening match finally arrived. Inside the tunnel, Ronaldo closed his eyes for a brief moment. He remembered Madeira. He remembered kicking a ball through narrow streets. He remembered leaving home as a frightened young boy chasing an impossible dream. He remembered Manchester, Madrid, Turin, Riyadh. Every chapter had led to this single moment. When he opened his eyes again, there was no fear. Only determination. The referee's whistle echoed across the stadium, and millions around the world watched Ronaldo touch the ball once again at football's greatest tournament. Portugal attacked with confidence. The crowd erupted every time Ronaldo received possession. Even simple passes generated thunderous applause. Then came the opportunity. A perfectly timed cross floated into the penalty area. For 1 second, time seemed to stop. Ronaldo leaped higher than everyone else. The same leap that had amazed football fans for years. The same determination. The same hunger. His powerful header crashed toward goal. The goalkeeper stretched desperately. The stadium held its breath. Then, the net exploded. Goal! Cristiano Ronaldo sprinted toward the corner flag, arms spread wide, surrounded by teammates who understood they had just witnessed another unforgettable chapter in football history. The celebration wasn't filled with arrogance. It was filled with gratitude. He pointed toward the sky, then toward the Portuguese supporters whose deafening chants echoed throughout the stadium. Many fans cried openly. Commentators struggled to hide their emotions. Because everyone realized they weren't simply watching another goal. They were witnessing history written by one of football's greatest legends. But every fairy tale faces its greatest challenge. Portugal's next opponents were stronger, faster, and determined to end Ronaldo's dream. Critics returned immediately, claiming one magical moment couldn't guarantee success. The pressure intensified with every knockout match approaching. One mistake could end everything. One defeat could close the final chapter forever. Ronaldo gathered his teammates inside the dressing room. No cameras. No reporters. Just belief. He reminded every player that greatness is never given. It is earned through courage, sacrifice, and unity. He told them that fear disappears when teammates fight for one another. Every word carried the wisdom of a career that had inspired billions across the globe. As they walked back onto the pitch, the world could feel something extraordinary was about to happen, and no one knew whether it would become the greatest ending football had ever seen or the most heartbreaking goodbye in sporting history.